Let me just recap us.
Adair. What about Dad?
Okay. All right.
What a...
Jen.
What about Dad?
Hello, everybody. Hello. How goes it? Oh my goodness, this is a funny story. We already did this podcast, but my computer crashed and it didn't save it, so we're doing it again. How lucky are you? We're more refined. We're ready to go. Jen, welcome back.
Hello, Adair. How are you today? What's going on with
Frustrated. Just kidding.
I think you just have to forgive yourself and move on. It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
It's not. It's Apple's fault. I blame them highly.
It's the logic.
It's the logic out. Anyways, we are talking about Wynonna Earp. I Fall to Pieces. Fun episode. A lot of kind of interesting things. The pacing was interesting to say the least, but I'm here for it. I really enjoyed this Wyhaught shenanigans that we had going on. It was very, I don't know, it was just it was fun. It was cool. We got to see a lot of their growth and nice callbacks to the first season and things like that. What were you kind of thinking about with this episode?
Well, this week, Natalie makes Wynonna and Nicole clean out his closet of secrets.
Sex dungeon?
Sex dungeon. In a ruse to get them to work together. The power of friendship compels you.
Friendship. Just a perfect friendship.
You have Ruby in the corner singing, "If trouble's all."
I know, God.
I'm sorry, that was a Supergirl reference. Okay.
If you're not watching it, you're fine.
It's a past podcast reference. Okay, so, oh my god, Wynonna and Nicole handcuffed together, a la Odd Couple, a la, what else is odd about that?
We had the Fairly Odd Parents. We have Laverne and Shirley. What is a good duet? Like, who's a good duo?
We are.
That we know.
Yeah. You just like softballed that to me. We're the best duo.
I walked right into that, much like that guy character walked into that fishing line in that Ursula episode of Wynonna Earp. Anyway. Just right on into it. Yeah, it was really fun. I really like the fact that this episode kind of started off, it goes from dark to light. You know what I'm saying? We have this funny, bubbly, ha-ha-ha things going on. And then at the end of it, some real, bullshit. So, I don't know, if you think about it like color, the beginning of the episode was like very white and light and bright and happy and, silly and kind of whatever. But as the episode goes on, it got grayer and grayer and darker and darker. And by the time we end the episode, we are literally on a porch at nighttime with Wynonna and Doc talking about some really heavy stuff, and even in the beginning of the episode, it's daytime, it's light, and now we get to night. I love how the show tends, and their lighting design kind of does that.
Yeah. Tells a story with lighting. Creates a parallel.
It really does.
A long day's journey into night.
Oh, good Lord. You know how, episode 1 of season 3, we had the vampire and the pink fog, the sexy pink fog. That purple or pink or whatever color it is, was very much a color that they use in the comic book, and when I instantly saw that color, I thought, oh, comic book. Oh, right. Let's not take this episode too seriously. It's very Buffy-esque. We're just having a good time because it's ridiculous, and I love the fact that the lighting can do that in this show, and, kudos to the lighting designer. But back to Wynonna and Nicole. Oh, man, some of their, I have an older sister who used to rib me a lot, and I hated it, and I still hate it. So it was really hard for me to watch Wynonna be so rude to Nicole when she's just trying to get work done. I was like, why are you trying to make her life hard for, no reason? It felt a little out of character, almost too mean, for no reason. I get the fact that they're, opposites, but I don't know. What do you think?
It's interesting because I feel like Wynonna and Nicole have this older sister, younger sister relationship that feels really authentic in the way they pick on each other. I feel like in this episode it was made to seem more than per usual, but I feel like we don't see that between Waverly and Wynonna. We don't see that happening where there's like sister rivalry or older sister kind of picking on baby sister, but that exists in the spectrum of relations, and I think it's fun. But you're right, there were moments where it felt like we were pulled out of character, like Wynonna was acting out of character, or Nicole was saying something she wouldn't have usually said. An example for me is the line where Nicole is telling Wynonna she's not qualified to run a police department. You're not even qualified to run a Chipotle. And then Wynonna comes back with, "Guac, excuse me." A wonderful line, but would Nicole really say that? And is there ever been a proven proof of a Chipotle in Purgatory? I just don't think it exists. Not in Purgatory. That's a little bit too out of character and out of world for me. But the line felt like it felt like they on purposely like put that line in there just so they could have Wynonna come back with a witty retort, and that was not necessarily set up as strong. And it felt like we got a lot of that where it was fun, but at times it fell flat because they were out of character.
Yeah, very much so. Also, let's talk about Bunny for a bit. They had this real, piece of shit lady come
city
through.
Planner.
The city planner,
city
very
council
umbrage.
member, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, the umbrage of Purgatory, and I think it's really interesting that, I'm waiting for Nicole to be a little rougher, a little less sweet and sugar. Like, we liked her because she knew what she wanted. She was kind of just very forward as a person. And to have this kind of planner woman be a complete dick, you would think that Nicole had a little bit more backbone, but I guess the whole point was so that Wynonna could be the one to kind of tell her off. But I don't know. I just felt like that Nicole should have been fine with that, or at least not even telling her off, just like giving a little bit more resistance than being a pushover, Bunny has a great line in the episode. I thought it was one of the best lines. Wynonna goes, "Are you a xenophobe or a homophobe?" And she goes with a smile, "Why pick just one?" And I just think that's so terrible, but really entertaining as a line because some people know that they're assholes, And she, when she's getting put in the police cruiser to go to the hospital, she's like, "Oh, I don't want to go to this hospital. There's too many immigrant doctors." It's like, Jesus, she is actually the worst.
I thought she would have been a great source of conflict for this episode. I feel like sometimes you don't need the supernatural to highlight the truly miserable, and I think I would have liked to have spent more time with this character being the villain of the week. And one of the things I feel like the show has strayed away from is in season 1, Wynonna is the black sheep of the town. No one likes her. She's the party animal. She's the unpredictable. I don't see why a city council woman would, knowing that she is Wynonna Earp, first family member / harlot / hellraiser of the town, why would she then just entrust her with being a sheriff? And you could say her blind hate for xenophobia, homophobia compels her, is greater than letting Wynonna be in charge. But I felt like one of the things that we don't get from Bunny is that recognition of Wynonna's past in the scene, and it is interesting dealing with pedestrian conflict to see the power dynamic change. So if you want to empower Nicole more, then you put Wynonna in the pedestrian world, and suddenly Nicole's the deputy. She's been the officer, and the people of the town respect her. But we don't do that enough, and we don't see the pedestrian world enough. So that would be one way to do it, to shift the power dynamic from it just being Wynonna the older sister picking on sister-in-law, put them in the pedestrian world, and bam, Nicole is actually she's at the top.
I think with Bunny, she said something, and it just clicked with me that it was very much a Trump reference, and it's the ideal that a lot of people voted for that guy. She goes, Wynonna, maybe you should be sheriff. You're a part of the first family, so she's thinking about wealth of the family, like, oh, you have a good status or whatever. She goes, you're a straight shooter. You're a straight talker. You're blunt. And that's what a lot of people loved about the whole Trump thing, is that he was a straight shooter. He was blunt, even though he really shouldn't be sheriff or running any kind of thing, let alone a Chipotle. And, I think that was kind of that call out of, like, I think this woman who's a xenophobe and a homophobe and many of the phobes, she was like, I want you because you're a straight talker. You're a piece of shit. You're not the best, but I think you are better than this gay woman, this outsider, this person who doesn't belong here. And that was ultimately what we went through politically in our thing. So I think it was an interesting callback.
But just even that, just what you said right now, doesn't it feel like we could have lived with Bunny in a scene exactly like that happening, and you would have had more emotional conflict stakes. The stakes would have been higher if you had something like that in this episode. That's where I just feel like this character would have been a great big bad of the week.
And I understand why she's not, because she's a very famous Canadian singer and songwriter, and so she's always on tour and traveling, so I totally understand.
But I mean, a big bad of the
why
week,
they don't
like
get her.
Zoe Palmer, she died in one episode. This girl could have been in and out in one episode. Just saying.
I do miss the elongated bad guy. I know we have Bolsher, but like, he's the ultimate bad guy. He's the one who started the curse. Without the curse, we have no show.
Are you saying you miss the Mercedes widow and the pustular?
I do. I really do. I miss having, well, nobody missed the pustules, but I do miss having that widow kind of dynamic where it was all through the season. You had to deal with multiple levels of them. They got to be sneaky. They got to be undercover. Then you got to figure out who they were. Then you got to see them in their full power. And then they finally had the showdown. And that was a few weeks in. And I liked that. Even Gooverly lasted a very long time. I just kind of miss having one person to focus on, not like 18.
Yeah, no. Oh my God. Can we just pause here? That's a real truth. I love it. That is. You hit it on the head, actually. I think what you said right now was probably the thing that I feel is not working this season for me. It's the thing we keep talking about it every episode. You and I are always arguing off the cast about what the conflict is and what the bad guy of the day truly is. That's it. Yeah. That's the problem. It's right there.
Like I said, I love the fact that this is a callback to season 1 when Wynonna and Nicole are on the floor drinking beers, and Nicole's talking about how she thinks, Waverly should figure out what she wants. Well, now they figure out what she wants, and I love the fact that they talk plainly to each other finally at the end, where Nicole admits that she's been jealous of Wynonna because Wynonna gets to be Wynonna. She gets to be the town fuck up, the town, as you said, harlot, and yet everybody loves her. Nicole doesn't have that. She, is more straight-laced. She needs a little bit more.
But I want to see more about what Nicole's open perception is, how the regular people
see her.
The town see Nicole. We know she's upstanding, and there's got to be people who like her and respect her. So far, we've seen her get no respect last season when she went to
from anybody.
Waverly's high school, and so far we've seen first families tend to hold a lot of sway. But you're right. I am very curious to see how Nettely's cultivated Nicole into his heir and into what her public persona is in this community.
Because also, if you think about it, Nedley, he's, as Bunny says, a son of a bitch, because, he's been keeping secrets. He's been working hard. He's been both dealing with purgatory nonsense and the regular purgatory. And, he's a lot more wily, I think, than Nicole is. He's more like a Wynonna Nicole mix. He's a rebel like Wynonna, but straight-laced like Nicole. So I think that's really fascinating, and now we have this kind of fully straight-laced person, and that's going to be interesting. I think Wynonna's most likely going to try and she's going to try to kind of overstep. And, there's going to be, I bet, an episode where she tries to overtake Nicole's kind of position. Because even sometimes with Nedley, she's, says things to Nedley, but she trusts Nedley. So I think that's going to be what's going to happen now, much like, yeah, no, I just think that's the case. As far as the Nedley and Nicole thing, that was a beautiful scene. We called it, and I knew he was the one who saved her. Or at least I felt like it, because early episodes said, hey, I scouted you out. And I was like, why would he scout somebody for purgatory unless he had something to do with her? So as soon as we found out she had this backstory thing, I was like, oh, yeah, absolutely.
That was a prediction we made very, very early in this season. That it was. Yep. That was absolutely a prediction. Our TV watching prowess has come through for us. A for you, A for me. We win. Yeah.
And so, anyways, I liked their whole thing. We were saying that, it would have been fun, too, instead of all the demon-ish things. Once again, the whole demon of the week. It'd been great to see them go through the shenanigans of the broken mirror in the pedestrian world. The frat boy stealing the cop car. That's a pedestrian kind of conflict. Maybe, I don't know, black cats and all kinds of whatever. I don't know. It'd have been really cool to see, it'd been really cool to see more things happen in that world. It didn't have to be just with the demons. I mean, I like the gnome and all that stuff at the end. I thought it was like whatever. They had some great moments. It allowed Wynonna and Nicole to say good things about each other. But yeah, I don't know. I wanted more adventure outside of the kind of demon-y thing.
You could even have made the campaigning for sheriff for Nicole last a whole season. It could have been a thing where it lasted a season, and it could absolutely bring us into the world and use her again as that balance in between, because she's existed now on Team Wynonna, and she herself has left that pedestrian world, and so we didn't have those people. We've lacked people, and I think what this show could really use is people who are going to solely exist for the sake of maintaining the world, which is purgatory. And moving on, I think that Nedley would be really good for that role. He could, in his retirement, find himself working at the bar, which is seemingly unmanned all the time. Or Mama Earp could just be another player who exists in this world.
Yeah, like I'm really down for Nedley and Mama Earp getting together.
Totally
forget Julian.
That's like your thing.
I do. I do.
What's their ship name? Mama.
I have
Mama
no idea.
Nedley? Nedley Mama.
No. No.
You gotta leave the mama in there. Keep it creepy.
Michelle and Nedley. Well, technically it's Michelle and Randy.
No, it's Mama. Mama something.
Mama Cop.
Mama Cop.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually really good. I like that one.
Who knows? But no, I like them together. I think he has a reverence for her as a Gibson, and who knows? Maybe, and unlike Gus, who was like, I'm retiring, and then we never saw her again. That'd be kind of cool if he does retire and then comes back and helps out more of a unofficial Nedley, vacation Nedley, as we have in the fandom. I really like the fact that he's kept a vault of stuff secret the entire time, all these years, of things that could be terrible and not, like how he had a whole sex dungeon, as we said, of stuff, and it's like, what? You kept all this? And I feel like Nicole's gonna be that next person. That she's gonna I don't know where this ring's going, but I'm gonna keep it. Maybe the ring, even though it's gonna defeat Balshar, maybe after all, or whoever, maybe that will be the first kind of relic she keeps in a vault, and we start seeing that she's almost become this new Nedley, which I'm here for.
I think it'd be interesting to see what she chooses to do with it, because Nedley always felt like he had to cover up. But I feel like it would be interesting to see Nicole make her own choice. The people of Purgatory all seem to be aware that their town is inhabited by supernatural things. It'd be interesting if it became not a secret. What if she was just allow these things to exist? What if she's the keeper of the sanctuary?
Well, it's kind of like the Iron Man kind of philosophy, you know. People were like, who's Iron Man? Who's Iron Man? And they were like, don't tell the public because, you know, we got to keep it under wraps. And he was like, I don't have time to deal with the cleanup of lying. So he goes as a press conference and goes, by the way, I'm Iron Man. And everybody loses their shit. I feel like Nicole should do the same.
Right.
Like, hey guys of Purgatory, this place is full of demons.
It's
Hope
haunted.
you knew that.
That's why people
Yeah.
That's why the real estate
You know?
is so cheap here.
Exactly, you know, and I feel like people will be like, kind of much like she was. She goes, just tell me the truth. Something's going on here.
Bunny.
Like, I'm not
Bunny
an idiot.
said that, right? She was
No.
Bunny in the beginning of the episode?
No, when last season though.
Oh.
Like when Nicole was getting together before she finally started dating. Oh no, first season before Waverly and her kissed. She was asking in that weird third-hand awkwardness scene where she was like, something's going on in the town. She's like, yeah, you're a lesbian. She's like, wait, what? And she's like, wait, what? You know, and
but
she
also,
just wanted to know
you had in this
what was
episode,
going on.
Bunny saying the same thing. You have just people seemingly aware that their town it's inhabited. Yeah, but
yeah, something's going on. It'd be kind of cool to see that be a little bit more honest, but much like Wynonna said, you know, that's just the tip of the iceberg. You don't really want to know what's going on, you know, so maybe she does say to a point, yeah, it's a special place with special talents. Don't go digging into it or you'll be screwed. But, like, you know, maybe that's the thing. I don't know. I really enjoyed their duet this whole, you know, this duo kind of this whole episode. And I love the fact that we've paired everybody up. You know, we have Wynonna, Nicole, Nedley, and then we have Mama Earp and Doc. How did you feel about their kind of goings on as well in this episode?
I think that I was a little sad to see Mama Earp leave. We've only had her 2 episodes, and she, I think, really, really anchors both Waverly and Wynonna. It just adds a new element into their world that's interesting to see them interact with. It's interesting to see what happens when Wynonna is with her mother versus when Waverly is with her mother. And I don't think she spent enough time with them. So that was really, it was sad to see her wanting to leave. And it made me feel like bad for Waverly because of the 2 of them. She really does seem to get the most lack of closure in that relationship. It felt like with Doc and Mama Earp, they both share the theme of abandoning people for love, or abandoning for the sake of love. That seems to be the thing that they had in common, hence why they ended up in scenes together this week. And it's interesting. I feel like we're going to see Mama Earp again before the end of the season. My prediction is that she'll return to fight Balshar, or for the final battle, whatever that is.
I think that a few things with Mama Earp. You said, you know, they fought for love, and I think it's that excuse of why Nicole lied to Waverly when she had her DNA results. She goes, I was just protecting you. I don't really think it's an excuse. They're leaving for love, which I think is a bullshit excuse. I think that's the same idea of saying I lied to you to protect you. What? That makes no sense. That's a selfish thing. They're doing it out of selfishness. You know, Doc might have a bigger idea of why he became a vampire, but he really looks like he's screwed up. It looks like he went on a drinking bender. He felt bad about himself. He made, like, somebody, who was it, Emily? She might have mentioned this. It was like getting a really bad tattoo of a sailor you met one night. You know, you're like, I put this sailor's name on my back because I thought it was true love, and I woke up and he was gone, and it was stupid. That's what this vampirism is, you know? And I think Mama is doing kind of the same thing, where,
I think,
you know, she's
Doc
like,
is doing the same thing. It's more.
No, that's what I'm
it's
saying.
forever.
No, I know, that's what I'm saying, but they're both doing that thing, leaving for love, doing something stupid for love. It's like, it's like, no, that's not an excuse. That's a bullshit excuse. It's not a real reason. You know, it's like, oh, I'm leaving you for love. No, you fight for love. You don't leave it. That's stupid. But Mama knows, like, what Doc is. She calls him out on being a vampire. She calls him out for being a pussy when he's all cold in the forest. You know, she calls him out for trying to be above it all
now,
when
do you
really
think
he's
she
not.
could see his vampireness, or do you think she sensed it? Where do you think it comes from?
I think she senses stuff. I think that's also probably why Julian picked her to be with, because I don't think she's a regular human either. I think that her sensibilities and watching and seeing and kind of hearing these demons, and maybe she figured out how they work, you know? Like I said, the one thing I love about Mom in this episode, she calls it out. She says it takes a monster to defeat a monster. So she sees that Doc is a monster that might be able to defeat Bulshar. Also, Bobo, she let him out, and when Doc goes like, what the hell, are you crazy? She goes, yeah, a little bit crazy, but I know that you two monsters can take on the big guy. You know, that's ultimately what she's thinking.
Became a vampire to take on Bulshar? Or do you think it's more because he is... This is very interesting. It's about his intent, I guess. Is he in it for self-preservation, or is he in it for self-sacrifice? You know, we know that Mama Earp and Doc both are abandoning for love, right? But are they doing it out of sacrifice, or are they doing it out of self-preservation? That has yet to be revealed. Because, I don't know.
I think that Doc it's a bit of both. Kind of like, yeah, I mean, really it's the idea of, at the time, no, he didn't think being a vampire was a good idea. He only wanted to be a vampire because Kate said the words, I need you. Wynonna had yet to say, I need you, I want you, I love you. And Kate had been saying that the whole time. And so he needed that. He was being vulnerable and weak at that point of like, I just need that validation. And so being turned to a vampire, he's like, great, I'll live forever. He wasn't thinking about the long-term things. Now, mind you, he did it, and instantly you see the regret on his face later. Like, he's like, crap, what did I do? But I think that now he knows, oh, I've done this terrible thing that's ruined this part of my relationship. Maybe at least I can use it. If I've screwed up this best, I can use it for good, which means I can use it for defeating Bulshar. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? He says, if I'm going to go to hell, I'm going to take you with me. So I think in that resolve, it was a little bit of both.
I don't think it's going to end well for Doc, period.
I don't think so either. But as I've always said, my prediction is that because they're the same side of the same, you know, different sides of the same coin, Doc and Bobo, I think that, you know, Robert Swain was a good man. John Holliday was a bit of a dick. Doc Holliday now is trying to be a good man, and Robert Swain, now Bobo, is a bit of a dick. But I think that they're the same type of person. Just literally, same sides of different coins. So I think that maybe at the end, Bobo, actually his Robert Swain comes out and he becomes a better man. And I think that Doc embraces that he's not a better man and can save the world and sacrifice himself. So he does a noble thing, but it's by embracing how terrible he is that he succeeds. And I think Bobo will win by embracing how good he is. You know?
I also believe that Doc is on path to be the sacrificial lamb in the end. Just doesn't feel like he's going to retire on a ranch with Alice teaching her to shoot bottles.
Or maybe he will fake die and just watch her from afar, but I think
He'll be
that...
like an angel.
Yeah, one of those things, but yeah.
I don't know.
Well, hey, he might, like I said, it might be that reverse of Bobo. How Bobo was Waverly's, maybe Doc ends up being Alice's. Who knows? But I think that, yeah, they're the same thing. And I love the fact that Mama just knows that. Also, Bobo is not full of shit. The guy tells the truth a lot. He might be a dick, but he tells the truth a lot. So, having, you know, like, we don't know the conversation between Mama Earp and Bobo to make her go look for Julian. He said something weird to Waverly to me, at least it rang bells in my ear, when he was like, you know, she goes, do you know where my father is? He's like, oh, only a few can get to him, or like only a few can see him, or whatever. I think that he is still in purgatory. I just think nobody knows exactly what he is. Maybe he is that angel statue. Maybe he is stuck in something else, and you have to be a certain type.
I feel like Julian and Bulshar are both fallen angels. That's my personal prediction. I think that they are kind of like maybe a Michael and a Gabriel, something like that, where they both fell. It's because, you know what really interests me is the fact that the Bulshar's ring is rejecting Doc, and Doc is technically a demon, having been bit by the vampire, right? So, and the ring accepts Nicole, and Nicole is seemingly good. So if you like look at what the ring rejects versus accepts, so the ring itself isn't a source of evil; it's a source for good. And
Yeah.
the thing that Balshar is a source of evil. So my thought was, if he was good at one point, if he was an angel who fell into hell, then the ring, it would make sense that the magical item he had was still something you can use for good to destroy Balshar, which is what Doc wanted it for, and why it protects things. And I don't know, that was my thought. That was like my little...
Yeah, no,
theory.
and it makes... I think that makes perfect sense, you know? And I like the fact that we have these things. I love the fact that he goes, should I feel bad for you? And she goes, of course not. Like, we're not those people, you know? And with Doc and Mama. And I love the fact that she just knows what a bastard he is. And I think he slightly respects the fact that he now knows that she knows he's a bastard, you know? And he tries to do this whole, Wynonna's not going to love me or accept me. And she goes, please. She's liked you this far. Even for whatever you did, she'll probably still like you.
I don't
you know?
believe that. I just feel
I don't either.
I feel like Doc's crossed some lines of likability. And I understand.
Doc has
I
crossed some lines.
understand Wynonna needing to decompress with Charlie at this moment. Do I wish it was Charlie? No. But
I think he's boring.
I'm
like,
fine
whatever.
with
He's
it
cute, I
because I
guess.
think Doc is toxic. He's
Yeah,
crossed
that's
into
the thing.
toxicity.
I think we're all okay with her, like, hooking up with somebody else to get, like, a fresh, you know, rebound thing under her. But, like, at the same time, I'm kind of just like, I don't want to see a new character that has nothing to do.
I agree.
then-
I don't want to see a character who's an extra, union extra of the day with, like, barely a name, no backstory exist because it's for no reason. But
Like, I love Robin's thing. I want to see more of that
do
because
wanna
the guy's
see
going to
more
be turned into a tree.
I
You know,
really do.
besides, like, he's cute with, you know, Jeremy. It's like, he actually has a tie to Balshar, like, and the plot. I would like to hear more about that.
I just,
know?
Another area is, like, I still, like, this beginning of the episode cemented it for me that we really didn't. I wish it just drives me crazy. I wish they'd connected the fireman stories. They destroyed the fire department, and now it's just it's brimming. It's full. Where are they getting these fire people from? I'm sorry, this is a side note. This is a Jen tangent. It just really, really bothers me. I've talked about this in maybe 3 other casts. Okay. You can continue.
I get it.
You can continue.
I get it.
I just feel like that's a thread that's been left so open, and it's an example of bringing people in, them leaving the show, and just not tying it together, and it drives me crazy. So, okay. Purgatory Fire Department's a hot mess. Hot mess.
They are. They really
and
are.
Nicole wants none of it.
None of it.
You know what this episode needed more of? Just let me throw it out there. Need more Wyhaught. I just did. I was like,
It needed more Wyhaught. It always needs Wyhaught.
too
It doesn't
much
matter.
time putting gnomes and mirrors together when I could have just had some adorable.
Although, to be honest, there was a lot of wife talk in this episode at the end. And I was like,
yes. Can you give me more
clues. if you will.
clues? I think Nicole's
Yeah.
gonna ask Waverly to marry her.
I think so.
I
too.
feel like
I
feel like it's coming. It's just like
it's been a year and change, and I don't know. I feel
Nicole
it. I think
says
that
I love you way too much and casually for that to not be making it real forever and ever.
right. And I mean, for Christ's sake, they found each other in a different universe. Like, they're gonna be together. But
And then it would be so good if they get married and then like the hell of bullshit rises. Oh, and it like.
well, speaking of
unlocks the-
Mary, like, you know, Waverly's promised to Bulshar, and Waverly also was married to some kind of skull thing in the first season. I don't know, but we'll figure it out. You know what I'm saying? I think that also something for you guys. Did you hear it? You know, when the revenant was holding the girls, you know, kind of like by the neck, and Wynonna's like, I'll miss Macaulay Culkin, and it's like, tell Waverly I love her. It's like, great, don't make me look like the asshole. You know, that's the cool thing about it, is that Nicole's last words to the world are, you know, tell Waverly I love you, love her, or whatever. And I think that's great, you know. I think it's funny that, you know, they do a little planting of seeds. I just want to see what happens when I don't know what's the word. I can't wait to find out what happens when marriage is in the thing. Like once Balshar shows up, is he gonna be like, "You're mine, Waverly," and Nicole's like, "Fuck that, she's my gal."
Are we writing a fan
I don't know.
fiction? Just kidding.
I am. But I really like the idea of the fact that they're bringing up this marriage thing, and I love the fact Kat's face. Oh man, she had some good faces in this episode, but her face when Wynonna's like, and she's good in bed. I can hear her because the walls are thin in our house, and she's like, "What?" Like, oh my god, the embarrassment. And I don't know about you guys, but that whole last episode, the Christmas thing, of you can hear them doing it. I was like, oh my god, wow, that's like. I did not know that
the
was
sound
something I needed to hear.
editing was all over that episode. Fingerprints
Also,
everywhere.
I just want to, right? I just think it's funny because, like, as an actor, I know good and well sitting there next to, like, in the ADR booth with, your other co-star actor, and you guys are just, like, making sex noises, had to be the funniest, most uncomfortable thing they've done in a while. We're just like,
do you think they sat together, or it was like one at a time? You make your grunts. Okay, we got it. Sound check. Good. Now you make your grunts.
It could have been, but
now,
depends on how much
sound
time
edit together.
I mean, who knows?
Because there was so little Wyhaught, we've been resorted to this. Just speculating about sound editing.
Well, no, I mean, I think it's just funny. That's why, as an actor, because it makes me embarrassed. Like, I'm uncomfortable doing things like that. I mean, I'll do it, obviously, because I'm an actor, but, like, doing that is awkward.
I'm going to need to get
very
you
much
drunk so I can be like,
make me do sex noises?
Do
No,
the
thank
noise
you.
on the...
No, thank you. No, thank you. Thank you, but no. No, thank you. Thank you, Jen. No, thank you.
No TV sex noises, not real ones.
No,
Come on.
Thank you. Neither are my choice.
You're an actor.
Yes, but are you paying me?
No, that's cool.
No, exactly. No, but like, I love that. I love that fact that actors can do that. But yeah, no Wyhaught in this episode, which it was fine. Whatever. We'll get it, I'm sure, next week. So much. It's just like a lot. It's a lot this episode. There was some good things. Jeremy and Waverly's humor kind of fell flat. It was what it was. It was just there so that we can see their faces. I didn't need any less. I mean, I could always do more, but I didn't need.
I feel like Jeremy
was what it was.
Did the win of the week, and I'm saying win. I'm referencing win from Supergirl, where it was like, there was a bunch of shit on the floor from the closet, and they're like, oh my, I wonder why Wynonna and Nicole are having such a hard time in life. Let me pull this pin out of a haystack, this needle out of a haystack, this thing out of my butt, and it's the exact thing that is going to resolve their conflict in the moment, which is these broken bits in a mirror being pasted back together, these broken gnomes. It was so convenient.
Yeah, it was way too convenient.
It was. It was really, really, really a convenient way to resolve conflict, and it was so much so that it was just kind of silly. And there's a moment where I was just like, what? Like, really? Is that how we're arriving to this conclusion?
Yeah, and I mean, we like all their quips and things like, I don't know. It just was what it was. I was just like, all right, I'm not surprised. I'm just kind of like whatever on it. But I mean, the whole focus was really, Nicole, Wynonna and Doc and Mama, and really kind of going on to the end of this episode. The Wynonna and Doc scene, I thought was exactly what we needed. And like we said before, I think this is exactly a restart of the relationship. I think it's a good way to kind of start at square one with this mother, knowledgeable Wynonna and this new vampiric Doc. And yeah, I think that it's now, their romance is now going to take a backseat and we'll get more story now, which I'm excited about.
I was so excited to see Wynonna showing Doc the door. His stupid choices have led him to this. That was actually very active, and I felt like it was a great dramatic beat, and one of the best piece of dialogue in the whole show was when she was like, John Henry, you are no longer welcome in my house. I thought that was so Good. Really.
That was the real "you
slap
shall
in the
not pass"
face.
moment.
That's when you know you've created a strong beat. Is it if you feel it, you can feel it. It's a gut punch. I thought that was a great scene.
It really was. I loved also just the image of Melanie afterwards when she closed the door and you see the look of, because he did kind of like lunge at her, a little bit of fear, like, oh my God, he's a monster, and then disbelief, sadness, heartbreak. There's just a lot of emotions on her face that I read, and I thought that was absolutely great. You know, to go from this silly ass episode to that moment, I thought it was very strong. So, overall, what are you giving this episode?
Give it a 6.5. I enjoyed the emotional beats between Doc and Wynonna, the last scene specifically. The comedy between Nicole and Wynonna. Nicole and Nedley's stuff was very moving, and I loved being right about the predictions. Thought Waverly and Jeremy, I thought their lines were kind of cheesy. The Gandalf references, annoying. Go on.
True. I think I would give this, at first I was going to give it a 7, but now I think I'm going to agree with your 6.5. Where overall I enjoyed it. Like, I had a good time watching it. There were some things I really loved about it, and there were some things that I was like, meh. Like, I didn't dislike it. I just had no emotion. I was very neutral about it. You know, and that's the stuff that is like so cheesy that I'm like, well, it's here because that's the kind of show we're in. So I just kind of moved on from it. But I can't wait for it to get gritty. We're a little bit over halfway done with the season, so I want to see a little bit more higher stakes and more pedestrian life.
To see the Wyhaught wedding with Alex Danvers as Bess part sitting with the family side, sitting with family.
I hope I get to see more of Nicole's family and like what her deal is.
Her older sister
also,
is Alex Danvers. Her mom is Bo Dennis.
Oh, good Lord. I actually can't wait until Anna Silk shows up, too, because it's like, what is she going to bring to this thing? Oh, good Lord. It's going to be great.
The mother of Nicole, her bosom, get her daughter, give her a hug in the bosom.
Who knows? I also, I'm looking forward to, I wasn't thinking, it wasn't a Nicole thing. It was, oh, dang it, I lost my train of thought. There was something I was really looking forward to in this, Kate. I'm looking forward to Kate and seeing next week's episode of them, Wynonna and her, having to deal with each other. In the stills that we saw in the beginning of the season, I thought, oh, maybe this could be a new friend or a new ally. And now it seems more like I need to know why she's there. Because, once again, I don't get why she's there anymore. To have your husband, to run away from Balshar, to not be seen by the vampires. Like, what's your deal? Like, not even like I'm intrigued. What's your deal? Like, I don't get why she's there. Other than to be a scorned wife after 186 years. Like, get over it.
She needs
he
a
has
more
a new
feminist
girlfriend.
reason to exist. Other than her
More... yeah.
Modern.
Actually.
She's been alive for a while.
Yeah, she should know a lot more, especially being a vampire. Like, come on, madam. Why are you here? Don't, like, I'm over it already. I was like, at first the card, foreshadowing was great. And seeing all that and that oracle type feel, I was here for that. But it's not been seen. It's not been utilized. So I'm hoping that this next episode we get way more into what her deal is. Because so far, I liked her and I was here for her afro and everything she stood for because she's super hot. But, like, I don't get why her character's here. So,
all right.
Yeah. Anyways, any last thoughts, Jen?
No. That's it. I think we laid it all out on the cast.
We made it through cast number 2. All right, guys, have a good one, and we will chat with you. Make sure to hit us up on all the social medias, and we'll see you guys later. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, write them in the comments. If this is YouTube, write them, in the comment section below. See you guys later. Thanks for listening. And if you want to take us on the go, we are now available on Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. And if you want to slide on over to Twitter, hit us up at whatabout_dat. Hope to see you soon.